Earlier last month, when Donald Trump flew to Malaysia, Japan, and Korea for meetings with various leaders, Trump and the US government wanted to project American power and influence in the region. And of course, the White House was quick to report Trump's visit was a major success. But here's the story you probably have not heard. Less than 24 hours after Trump left Southeast Asia, the region collectively upgraded its free trade pact with China. This is important to understand because it's actually ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is China's #1 trading partner. Last year, the economic bloc of 11 Southeast Asian countries conducted over $771 billion of trade with China, and Singapore's Prime Minister, Lawrence Wong, had this to say about the region's new trade deal with China. The upgrade will further reduce trade barriers, strengthen supply chain connectivity, and unlock opportunities in future growth areas. Translation: Donald Trump isn't winning the trade war. Instead, countries around the world want to move towards a more reliable and stable partner, which so far in 2025 has proven to be China. 2 days after Trump left Asia, Indonesia raised over $842 million through the first ever sale of Chinese Yuan bonds. These Yuan-denominated bonds are called dim sum bonds and refers to bonds written in Chinese currency but sold outside mainland China to offshore investors. But here is what makes this story remarkable. Indonesia isn't borrowing in US dollars. Instead, they chose to borrow in Chinese renminbi, and global investors absolutely flooded in. The Indonesian government offered 6 billion yuan worth of bonds, but investors placed orders for 18 billion yuan, 3 times the amount. This just shows you how bullish international investors are on Indonesia's economy, but also how comfortable they are holding Chinese currency as an investment. And that's the main message I want you to understand about this global shift in finance. About a decade ago, nobody wanted RMB bonds, but today, countries are funding their infrastructure projects using Chinese money. And most importantly, investors are lining up and actively buying Chinese renminbi bonds. When we zoom out and look at the global picture of what this really means, it's actually quite simple. China is becoming the financial anchor of Asia, and every time a major country issues government debt in renminbi and not US dollars, China's currency gets one step closer to becoming a true global alternative to the US dollar. To show you what I mean, just look at this chart from SWIFT, which shows the renminbi's share of global trade finance has quadrupled over the past 3 years to 7.6% in September, making it the second most used currency in trade finance after the US dollar. When you look at this chart, the trend is unmistakable. China's renminbi is exploding in global use. Back in 2016, cross-border RMB payments were almost non-existent, but over the past 5 years, quarterly transactions on China's KIPS network have surged to nearly 13 trillion yuan every single quarter. KIPS stands for China's Cross-Border Interbank Payment System and processes more than 52 trillion yuan. That's nearly $12.7 trillion worth of transactions every year, accounting for 58% of all of China's cross-border flows. Even more impressive, the network now connects 4,800 banks across 185 countries. Just last month, China and South Africa, both key members of the BRICS alliance, launched the first ever BRICS loan in Chinese yuan, marking the two countries' first ever financing project conducted entirely in the Chinese currency. The funds will be directed towards development projects across Africa, focusing on infrastructure, energy, manufacturing, water management, and education. And honestly, this is why more countries in the global south are interested in working with China. No country on earth has developed as fast and proficiently in the past 40 years as China, and many developing countries would like to follow in their footsteps and modernize their countries in the same fashion.